Hi, and welcome to my tutorial where we're going to make this. We're going to do just two little side swipes on either side. I am featuring on this one a faceted sapphire. It is a Marquise-cut and it is flat on the back. This one is a size 7. What you're going to need is a ring dowel for the size and a spare piece of copper in order to be able to get the size that you need. Then I'll explain how to measure things out. You will need a pair of either nylon pliers or pliers that will straighten things out. A pair of pliers that, like a needle nose type pliers, or I think that's what these are, to help flatten things down. And then a pair of cutters. Hello everybody. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. I have the cutters, like I said, the nylon pliers, and the needle nose. We're going to start with a 20 gauge half round, and you're going to cut quite a bit of that. And then we're going to use 20 gauge round wire. Then we're going to cut 2 pieces of that. With that, we're going to measure the size that we need on the ring mandrel. And with that, we're going to use a scrap piece of wire, or if you don't have any scraps, then you're going to go ahead and just use another piece of wire. Then you're going to cut it. What we're going to do is take and measure out the first space of it. Then with that, we're going to take a Sharpie and mark the end of the wire, and we're going to have that 3 times the size that we need because it just helps have that. So with the marker, we're going to mark the end of that. Then after we get that marked up, we're going to take and mark the other end of that piece right there, and then we will be doing we'll be finishing up the rest of the side there. So after we marked both sides of our pieces there, we're going to measure one more time for the third spot, which, you know, as I said before, you have to do it 3 times the length that you need to be able to use it correctly. So we're going to cut the size that we need right here. Now that we've got the size that we need, what we're going to do is take another piece and we are going to cut another side there, just so that we have 2 pieces, because this requires 2 pieces of 20 gauge and a very long 20 gauge half round. So then we are going to take the half round and wrap it from mark to mark, so that way we can have all of the pieces together, and that will create the base of our thing. So let's go ahead and do this. So as we get this thing all wrapped, we want to make sure though that we get it secure, have the flat side down across the round wire, which sometimes is not easy at first, but then you kind of get the hang of it. But you just kind of keep going, and you'll see me just do a couple of these around, and then after we reach the end of that part, we are going to go ahead and start the actual base of it. So yeah, get the whole thing done, and now we've reached the end of it. What we're going to do is take this piece here, and we are going to clamp it down a little bit to make sure that all of the half round is flush to the end of it. Then we will be taking our ring mandrel to make sure it's the correct size, which, you know, you got to make sure it's round and perfect shape, so that way when you go to do everything else, it'll be perfect. So then after that part, what we're going to do is take and bend our wires up to make sure, up and down, to make sure that they're the right shape, so that way we can go ahead and make the diamond shape for our ring. And we just see me, you know, smash it down and try to work with it and everything. It's just one of those things. It takes a couple of tries of trying to get it perfect, but it's okay. You just keep going. So we're going to see if the stone will fit. Then we're going to take it down and kind of wiggle it a little bit, trying to make the shape a little bit smaller, because we just need a smaller opening, because this one is a flat cap. You can actually use a faceted one and make it to the size of the back of the facet. You can even use a diamond shaped or round or oval, it's up to you. I'm using a flat back marquee. This style here is actually really great. So we're going to take this here and wrap it twice around. So what we did, we didn't take the back of it, we didn't take the half round off of there, so we're going to wrap it around twice. So we're going to make it sort of secure. Basically wrapping it around the back of the 2 wires helps secure it better. Then we're going to cut the back of it. So after we've done that, we are going to try and make sure it's secure. So we're cutting this, very bad at voiceovers if you can't tell. We're going to clamp it down to make sure that it is in place. Half round helps a lot. You can use round wire, but I prefer half round. It's a little expensive, but you got this. So then we're going to take and make sure it's completely secure. After we do that, we're going to take the rest of our half round wire, wrap it on the other side. We're going to bring it around the back like we did the first one. And then we are going to do the same thing. We are going to wrap it around the top 2 wires. And, you know, it doesn't take too terrible long to do this part here, but you got to make sure it's perfectly secure, because if not, it's just not going to work. But by doing this, adding it to the base and then adding it to the other parts that are going to be around the stone helps make the ring more sturdy and secure. So like we did the other side, we are going to clamp it down and we're going to fasten it in. After that, we just kind of tuck the access wire to make sure it's not pokey on anybody, because that's just not fun. You could technically wrap several times or not and just throw the thing, you know, that's what I do. And just make sure it's secure. Basically, at this point, it's just, you know, securing everything down. I know I keep repeating that, but this is my first tutorial, so bear with me, guys. Anyways, there's that part there. Then we're going to take the stone and make sure that it's the right size, which I did really good the first time that I threw it, just because that's what I did. Anyways, so what we're going to do is straighten it out a little bit. Make sure it's the right size, which was the 7, what we initially started off with. Then what we are going to do is take the marquee, set it on the stone. Then we're going to take the topmost 2 wires, and what we're going to do is bend it to the left side so we can bring it around the opposite direction, which will help secure the one side down. And it's a little messing with or whatever, but you know, you'll get there. It takes a few seconds. Basically here, I'm just trying to make sure that the stone will fit in there. Then I bring it down and swoop it to the right side. After that, I'm going to tuck it underneath the ring part, which is, you know, takes only a few seconds, but you got to make sure it's extremely secure. I suggest holding the stone pretty tightly. Try not to break it, but you know, it just makes more sense to be able to hold it pretty to make sure that the ring is secure. And then what you're going to do is bring that to the back there and make sure that you can get both of those wires tightly around it. Then flip the stone around. You're going to take the other 2 base wires, move it to the left a little bit so you could loop it around back to the right. We're basically going to do the same thing we did with the front side. Make sure you hold it tightly, because if not, the stone's going to fly out of your hand. Push it down as hard as you can, and then what you need to do after that is, again, bring it down and around to the back, which, you know, is actually pretty, not too hard, but, you know, you just got to make sure it's secure. After you get that secure, which, you know, sometimes I will admit it will not take the first time to be able to get secure, but if you did get the first time, congratulations. What we're going to do is make sure that both sides are tight. Initially, you can just cut it off and leave it like that, or you can do like I did and bring the wires down and around a little bit, just so that way it is, you know, more tight. And after I get this all situated, I'm going to do one of my favorite parts, which is the little swoopy part. It's absolutely cute. I love it. I tried to find the piece to show you, but I couldn't find it. So you kind of can use your finger to guide it around. I think I might have measured too short, so I wasn't able to do 2 of the swoops like I usually like to do, but the longer your wire is, the more swoops you can have. At this point, you just kind of secure everything. Make sure you bring it down and around. You kind of have to play with the wire a little bit. Just fold that down a little bit and make sure that it is pretty cool, you know. And then after you get that all down, you can hold it down some and bring it around to the top. Please forgive me for the noise in the background. I told my husband I was going to do a tutorial and he turned his thing on. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get this situated here, and then we're going to bring it down and around and continue to the other side. So I'll let you sit in silence. And just kidding, you think I was going to let you do that? No way, I talk way too much, so I think this is pretty good. Anyways, so we're just going to make this pretty awesome. So I just check on the ring, check to make sure it's not going to fall out. I shook it a little bit. I realized I wasn't going to be able to do another swoop, so I tried to do it on that side, and I was like, let's not do that. So I went ahead and cut that. Usually you could do 2, just depends on how long the wire is, like I said. Then after I get that all secured down, I work to the other side and do the same thing because I just couldn't get the other thing to work. So I just cut it out and just, you know, went with it that way. So yeah, that is the end of the tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it. I know it's kind of short, but it's really a simple ring that just doesn't take a lot of time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And again, disclaimer, I do not own the rights to anything. I just come up with something because I seen it, I loved it. So shout out to you if you make one. If you do, please tag me in it on Augusta Rose Designs, either on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial and you have a wonderful